It's time for Mike Grimm's Go Gopher podcast from Talk North. The Go Gopher podcast is proudly presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Make the most for your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. Cub sponsors the Go Gopher podcast with Mike Grimm. Shop happy, shop Cub. PNC Bank also brings you the Go Gopher podcast. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring. On X Maps sponsors the show. On X Maps, home to the best maps for outdoor adventures. And by Great Clips, get in, get out, look great with Great Clips. Don't forget to subscribe to follow the Go Gopher podcast, which is always free to listen to. Now, from the Aquarius Home Services studio, here's five-time Minnesota Sportscaster of the Year, the voice of the Gophers, and the host of the Go Gopher podcast, Mike Grimm.
It's episode 227. Nico Medved is with us. Welcome to the show. Hey, we've done this for 4 years now as a podcast. You've been on a few times, and it's always been audio only. And for those listening now on audio only, it's fine. It's normal. But now we also have a video component. You're our guinea pig to start us off, Coach.
I mean, what do I owe this honor?
Yeah,
right? I didn't know I
right?
had to dress up today or look my best.
I should have probably given you the heads up.
No, it's all good.
You look great.
Boy, we're just really doing people a service that they actually get to see us too, instead of just listen to us blabbering.
Yeah, right? Who wouldn't want to look at us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we do want to get an idea of how you guys are looking. And before we get into basketball, let's talk about you and the family. Summertime, is it a chance? Did you guys get a chance to do anything fun as a family? Do a vacation, anything like that?
It's interesting. Like this time, I was actually talking to Erica the other night. I mean, this time last year as we're recording and we still weren't in our house yet,
right?
Out in the suburbs. And my family, I had lived in an apartment, downtown, and my family moved up towards the end of June with the dog, and we lived in the apartment, for like 3 weeks until we, were able to close and move on our house. And you move into your house, then, hey, hon, I got to go recruiting, kind of thing.
Have fun.
Have fun. But so, you spend most of the summer just trying to get your kind of life organized that way. And we were able to get away a little bit at the end of the summer, but it was just, that's what happens. It's disruptive. Yeah, this year, settled. Like we love where we live. We were able to get away a little bit in May down to the East Coast. We go back to South Carolina, to Kiowa Island and Charleston. But we're just going to hang out here.
Yeah.
4th of July, our team obviously is in full swing. We got recruiting going, but we're going to hang out here and enjoy the cities. And then in August, we'll probably get up to the lake here at some point for a little bit and enjoy that. But yeah, it's just kind of nice to kind of be here in the Twin Cities and be settled. I think it's just an awesome place to be in the summer.
Yeah, you're right. Why, in February, in the middle of the season, we're traveling, but it's not someplace that's warm usually. I guess we'll have USC and UCLA, right, at some point this year.
I've been fortunate, though. I mean, throughout my coaching career, a lot of the places I've been, I mean, in South Carolina, again, it was a great place to live. Colorado, we loved being where we were, too. And here, like you said, in the summers is great. I know I'm supposed to say it's great all year round, and it is, but it's the summers are really special.
Yeah. So no reason not to stay here for sure. The family you mentioned, it's like they kind of got in here about a year ago. I got a kick out of how the girls became Gopher fans immediately, and they were dressing in maroon and gold. And what hotel were we at where your daughter grabbed my room key? Do you remember that? I don't know. I think it was by accident, but she grabbed it and handed it to me, and it was my key. So how she knew who I was, I have no idea. But they're assimilating in pretty well.
You are. You don't even realize it. Yeah, sportscaster of the year, whatever it is. Yes.
But they're having fun. They like it. It looks like they're having fun at the barn whenever we see them.
Yeah, they're great, and it's funny. It's how invested your family is. It just kind of becomes part of your life, and they love going to the games, and they don't even realize all the places they've been able to travel and the things they've been able to do. And they were up at practice yesterday, and so they love it. They know all the players' names, and they follow it, and they follow college basketball, even pro basketball. And so it's pretty awesome. And especially my oldest, Allie. I mean, she's going to try to find any way to help she can.
Yeah. And did I hear you say maybe a week or two ago that they went to the Gopher women's basketball camp?
Yeah, we did. We went to the Gopher women's basketball camp, and then my youngest went to the Gopher soccer camp there. So yeah, they're doing a
Yeah.
little bit of everything.
Well, how is your team looking right now? You got the 5 newcomer transfers, 3 freshmen. They're all now here on campus, enrolled in summer school, I suppose, getting the head start there, and working out with the coaching staff and the strength and conditioning folks. What's your assessment so far here as we record? It's July 1.
Gosh, I'll probably be pretty boring, about saying this. Everyone goes, what do you think? What's your expectations for next year? Which you're probably going to ask me, but
I've got it on the
you're going to
list.
ask me.
Yeah.
But they're great. I mean, I really love the mentality of the group. They really work. They're great young men. They're fun to be around. They've been really engaging, and so I think that in and of itself, it seems like it's a bare bones expectation of what we have, but it just again reaffirms I think we recruited the right types of people, and so I think they're working really hard. They're connecting well. But you should be, so is any program that's good. They're all working hard. They're all getting better. And so I think we're kind of where we're supposed to be that way.
Structurally, I asked you this. We did the Rotary Club in Excelsior. What a great location that was, right on the lake. A breakfast was that last week? I think with we had a little Q&A, and I asked you structurally in the summer, what kind of things are you looking for? What are you trying to implement? And I suppose the newcomers are learning you, and you're learning them, and it's kind of a blend of a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, as we continue to get these hours right in the summer, and so you just continuing to evolve, how you're utilizing this time. And I did the same thing this year, is we kind of spend those first 3 weeks pretty much with just the install of our basic motion half court transition offense, learning the terminology, kind of learning what we want to do. That's kind of, how we start. And I think you do that because it's important, again, for them to kind of understand the basics of the terminology, some of the things that we like to do and what are important to us. But it's also an opportunity for me to get to learn our guys too, how each guy learns. Everybody learns a little bit different. How can we help them process information, get to learn a little bit more about their skill set? Inevitably, I always find that there's something that a player will do that's really good or unique to their game that you want to make sure, hey, maybe I've never had another player who's done it this way. But boy, it'd be coaching malpractice for me to say, well, that's not the way we do it, you know? And so how you figure out those things. And then inevitably there's things too that maybe you thought could have been a player's strength, and maybe they're not quite as advanced as you would like, and so I think those things are really important for me as a coach and for our staff. And then honestly, just trying to get to spend time getting to know them. And then as we transition into here, we'll start doing some more defensive stuff, which we've started this week. Our guys will get a little break here over 4th of July, which I love to do. And then we'll come back and finish, 3 weeks in July. And we're doing, 2 team practices, 2 kind of individual groups right now. As we get later in July, we're going to ramp that up and do more team practices. And then hopefully, kind of long-winded answer, but the hope is maybe by the end of the summer, we're far from where we need to be, but our guys have a general understanding of both sides of the ball. This is kind of what we like to do. And then hopefully me as a coach and our staff, I'm able to kind of take away from the summer and have a better view of our group and maybe where we need to go from here to become the best version of yourself.
Did you need a refresher course on 5-on-5 practice?
It is kind of fun. It's just like, man, we first day we're out there. Holy cow, we can end going,
got enough guys to work,
or whatever to compete. So it is nice to be able to, compete likes on likes and get after it that way. That's been fun, and I think that is a necessity to getting better.
Has anything stood out, like anything popped to you when you watch these guys right now?
It looks like we got a lot of shooting. We got a lot of guys who can shoot the ball and can make threes and can space the floor. I think that looks good. I think we've got a competitive group that way. We're going to have some depth. We'll have some difficult playing time decisions, and like every team who's good, it's going to create business. People are going to have to buy into roles and all that stuff. That's not today, but I think the shooting, a little bit more length and, across the board. And I think it just feels different, Grimm. Just again, you have returners, right? So you actually have some guys who know what they're doing. It's been great having Cayenne back too. I think even after a week into it, it just starts coming back to him again, the terminology, how we play. And it's cool because he had a lot of success. He was playing at such a high level, especially the end of his sophomore year there. And I think for him too, it's easier to kind of, you're coming back, but it's easier for you to just kind of go dive off the diving board into it because you already know, okay, this will work for me, and when you're a new guy, not that you're fighting it, but you're still trying to figure out how this all fits together. How do I fit into this whole scheme where he doesn't really have to answer that question?
Yeah. It's almost like putting on that pair of comfortable shoes or jeans that you haven't worn for a while. And now you're back and say, this is pretty cool, right?
Exactly.
Fits nicely. Lexus Williams is added to the staff. How has he been so far?
He's been great. I really think he's going to be a terrific addition to us. And I was telling somebody the other day, I've been really fortunate. I mean, again, my success is directly determined by people, right? The players, the support staff, coaches that you've had, they're all phenomenal people, really talented. You got to surround yourself with those kind of people. I think I've had 5 guys who've been my assistant who've become Division I head coaches. And it's interesting. The last 2 guys that I had, Ali Farokbanesh, took over for me at Colorado State, and then J.R. Blunt, who was with us at Drake, Colorado State, was at Iowa State, and then he's now the head coach at San Diego. And what's interesting about both of those young guys is they were in their late 20s. They didn't have a ton of experience, maybe as much as I could have hired to have the job that I, gave them. But you could just see something in them, right? They were hungry, young, great teachers, great connectors, worked their tail off. This is who they were. It was in their DNA. And I proved to be right, and I think Lex is that way too. I think he's a really talented young guy. He's got an unbelievable personality. He's great with the players, got a great mind for the game. And I love even him just early on coming in here. I want these guys to tell me what they think, and to be able to tell me I may have an opinion, but if their opinion is different than mine, I want to know, and I love that, not in a confrontational way at all, but to be able to say, hey, I maybe see it a little bit different, or coach, have you thought about this? And I think when you have that naturally, you're going to be really good.
Yeah, the more minds that can think together and offer, brainstorming. There's nothing wrong with having a bunch of ideas and then figuring out which way's the best way.
And I think what's so great about those guys is you all have blind spots. You want that, and then you have the types of people that know, listen, at the end of the day, I have to make a decision on what we're going to do, and you don't get your feelings hurt.
Yeah,
because every once in a while, the old coach knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. You got that right. No doubt. He came from Boise State, so were you a little familiar with him from your time at Colorado State?
Yeah, we had fun beating them, so you learn. I say that. Those guys had a great program too. Yeah. We did. We beat them 3 times. The last year they were picked to win, and we beat them 3 times. And so, but no, I was really familiar with them and how they do things. They run a great program down there. How they recruited, how they played. They had a lot of success. And so I know how instrumental he was to their success.
Have you gotten a lot of golf in? Have you had time?
It's never enough. You know what I mean? My golf game stinks right now. I played so much. I was playing pretty good, man, at Colorado State. And a lot of that was also just why, I lived at a golf course. Not that you played as much, but what I could do is one thing I just enjoyed a lot was if I had 20 minutes and I come home and you have a golf cart, I could just go down there and so it was kind of relaxing to me. It's almost therapeutic, and then, get back to work or do something. It's been harder to do here, but that's okay. It's fine. But I love getting out. I love to play great golf in the Twin Cities. Yeah. The other thing that I found, and it always has been, it's one of the best ways, if not the best, to connect with people. You get out and you spend time playing with, you learn a lot about somebody, on the golf course, just kind of who they are.
Those 4.5 hours you're hanging, right?
Just, and I've done it enough to know you learn a lot about people and you really, connect that way. And so as you're trying to get people engaged and bring them, it's one of the best ways to do it. And so I'll get out a few times here over the break. Yeah. So,
well, if there's not a driving range nearby that you can just kind of get to relieve some stress, could you tee it up and aim a couple at PJ's house?
Honestly, I maybe be able to tee one up in PJ's house and be fine. You know what I mean? That way. But he's got a great spot up there.
Be be a
The rumor
target
is, like, I
practice.
haven't, like, I see Coach, but Coach Fleck, I haven't had the invite to your golf simulator yet, so I don't
Is
know.
he has? I didn't know
That's
he had
the
one. Yeah,
word on the
yeah.
street. Yeah.
Well, that would be nice if he let
Mhm.
the basketball coach come and
I
relax.
think, you
a
know, or
little.
if he's out of town, he just give me the key, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's probably got a fancy fob or something. You get in there, just walk in. In fact, he'd probably put a coin slot. You'd have to put quarters or something
Exactly,
in that thing.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, let me quickly talk about one of our sponsors. OnX Maps brings you OnX Fish. It's summertime. That means you can get out on the water, do some fishing, and for the best bite, you can use OnX Fish from OnX Maps. OnX Fish is your pre-trip cheat code. Before you even pull the boat out of the garage, you can sort by lake, species, trophy, and keeper potential. So you're not guessing. You've got a plan going into your fishing expedition. Spring and summer mean new water, so don't waste a trip. Use OnX Fish to filter for walleye, bass, panfish, whatever it is you're fishing for, and see species abundance, size data, and you actually know what's in the lake before you launch. Everything you need is right there. Get on the fish in one app. Download OnX Fish on the App Store or visit onxmaps.com/fish. Fishing is here. Summer is here. Go find the lake you've been driving past for years and finally find out if it's worth the launch. OnX Fish from OnX Maps. Happy fishing.
Know what happy is? Veggies. Crunchy, crispy, colorful, seasonal, aromatic, juicy veggies. Produce at its freshest. Cub produce. Best produce, period. Guaranteed to make you happy or will replace it. No questions asked. Because good produce makes veggie lovers happy. Just remember, fresh, happy. Stale, limp, and wilted, not happy. You want to make a veggie lover happy? Shop Cub for produce. And shop happy.
Nico Medved with us, and let's talk about some of the newcomers. Maybe a Cliff Notes version for Gopher fans to learn a little bit more about each one of them. And we'll go with the transfers. First, you mentioned Kyan Evans. You had him for 2 years, and think about it. He's probably one of your most experienced players in the system now, right? I mean, he'll be entering his third year in this system.
Yeah, it hits his, so, obviously, like guys like Isaac, Bobby, Kai Shinholster, Grayson Grove. I mean, those guys, it's a complete difference just coming back for year two. But then you remember, Kyan and now Jalen Crocker Johnson. This is year 3, right? Yeah. So there is kind of, I think, a whole other level. I think the other thing is, again, they've seen it probably done at its highest level, just the trust on both sides of the ball kind of what we do. So, yeah, adds a lot of experience that way. I think it's been fun, hopefully, trying to see him get his mojo back, you know what I mean? So to speak. And I think that's happened, quickly. He really knows how to run a team. He plays with great poise and patience and does a great job of, knowing when to score, but also to get others involved. And it just, just runs smooth and calm right now when he's out there. So that's been great. I think he's going to help the other guys a lot that way. And I think guys like him and Isaac will really play well together. I think that's going to be a really good complement to each other.
What, and I know PJ usually says comparisons can steal your joy, but who would be a comparable if Gopher fans can kind of have an expectation of what type of player they're going to watch when he's on the floor?
God, these guys, PJ say that all the time, comparison's the thief of joy, know. That's a hard one to kind of go and compare him. I'd have to think about that as far as a college basketball kind of comparison and somebody who played here. I'm trying to think of an NBA comparison. But he's really a real point guard, that way, and where he can score. There's no question, about that, but is also really comfortable facilitating and's got great, feel and instincts, can see. I always talk about, like, the great passers can see that third line, right? It's not just like the option quarterback who I'm pick and roll the roller or this guy. They can see where the help's coming, where the ball's, supposed to go. I think has that kind of instincts. He shot the ball really, really well from us, from 3. His shooting splits were tremendous. And a lot of that, too, is just taking great shots, but it's also confidence.
Yeah.
Just the belief that you got to have that confidence in yourself that I missed 3 in a row. And if it's time for me to take the 4th shot, I've got to do that. So I think fans will see a really competitive guy, but just, it's not always flashy, but it's a steady, know how to run a team, can make the big shots, when it's there, and that the game should calm down when he's in the game.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the two guys from Michigan. You went and you stole a couple guys from the national champs. Malik Cordell. Malik. He told us Malik, right? But
did he really?
I think that's the German.
Maybe we're all saying it. It's the
German.
Okay,
yeah.
That could be.
Yeah.
So boy, we said Malik, and then it's anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I learned something every day about my own guys.
Michigan did call him Malik.
Yeah.
But he pronounced it for us Malik.
Interesting.
So, but I guess if we want to Americanize it, it's Malik. But either way, he's a big man.
Soccer, or whatever,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
He's a big man. How has he looked? Tell us about
great.
him a little.
He's such a, first of all, like all these guys, I'm going to say, he's just a great young man. He's got a great smile, a great presence about him, really wants to work and be coach, has been an everyday guy that way. He's just a young player, just hasn't had a lot of experience, right? You look, and I'm making my math wrong, but it's like he grew up playing handball, then he just started playing basketball, played some in Germany, then he comes over, and boy, just taking that jump right away to Michigan. And then you play with 3 lottery picks in the front court, and it's your first year. It's hard to break the rotation. But one thing I know about him already is that just that experience every day of being there and being in practice against those guys every day, how can you not improve? For his size, he's very fluid. He can run. He's got good hands. He's not afraid to play physical. We're put a lot on his plate, right? There's a lot going on out there.
Yeah.
But man, he can screen, he can roll, he can run. I think he's got a really bright future, and he's continued to get better and better. He gives us a dimension that we haven't had, but it's very important to remember for him too, for all of us, he's everyone's a developing player, but he hasn't had a lot of experience, playing. And so he's also got to give himself grace and just keep on the process of getting better through the ups and downs. But I think he's got a bright future. And again, he gives us a dimension that we just haven't had.
I'll put you on the spot a little here. Is it, because I've seen it, he is, you mentioned developmental, but even some have said maybe he's a project. Is this a guy that can have an impact this year, do you think? Is he, I don't want to, tell you how to coach. I have no idea, but is he a guy that could start possibly?
Everyone tries to tell you.
I know, that's true.
That's the thing.
You live in that neighborhood, what everyone
that.
tells you. Yeah. But is he a guy that could potentially even start or give you an impact? How do you foresee that?
I think Malik has a real chance to have a real impact for us this year. You know what I mean? And be a guy that's going to play and, play and contribute. And I do. I think I could see that, from him. And I know every coach says this coach speak. But it's true, guys. I've been doing this a long time, and it's the same thing about, focusing on what your goal is. Just got to keep sticking to what he's doing every day. He's putting good days together. Not every day is as good as Elastic, every player, but just keep putting good day and just keep, checking in of where you're going and how much more comfortable you get every day. But if he does that, I think he's going to carve out a role and be able to help this team this year.
Have you coached a guy that big? Have you had a guy?
Not that big. Yeah. I don't know that a lot of guys have always coached somebody that big. I mean, he's as big as Rudy Gobert. I think when I look at him, he's a gigantic, person. So again, it's a different dimension, than what we've had. And I think the guys enjoy playing with him. But he does. He competes and he works and he's out there every day. Putting the time in, and that will pay off.
Yeah. The other Michigan kid is Winters Grady. Tell us about him.
Winters is a young man. His dad played basketball at Colorado State. Was a really good player. We had him on campus. We recruited him a little bit. His recruiting, kind of took off. He ended up at Michigan last year. Again, I think it's really important to remember all across college basketball, but especially even at our level, right? Most teams, playing 9 guys, maybe 10. And there's a lot of talented players that maybe just don't get the opportunity early, right, in their career. And so he doesn't get an opportunity. He dealt with an injury too. But yeah, when he decided to make the move, he's another guy. He's got good size. Winters can really, really shoot the ball that way, really, really shoot the ball and put it in the basket. And I think he's a guy who's got a bright future. But again, what I love is these guys have multiple years left. So obviously we want to try to get the most out of him right now, but understand too, this is long term. And I tell guys home the other day, typically, nothing great in life happens quickly,
Right.
and I tell them, don't put a clock on it. Just focus on the process. Don't
Yeah.
put a clock on. That's what we all do, right?
Yeah.
Artificial clock about, oh, this is the time this is all supposed to happen. Why am I? And that's not the way life works. And we all know that as we get older, but help those young guys just dive into today. Don't put a clock on anything. And we all know what you want, but just keep going. And those two guys do the same thing, and I think they got bright futures.
Minnesota kid comes back home from Texas Tech. Nolan Groves, billed as a pretty athletic kid that can, maybe score at multiple levels. What are you liking from him?
I mean, the thing about Nolan is I just love how bad he wanted to be at Minnesota. Nolan he's a really competitive kid. He cares. I mean, sometimes I tell him, like, hey, Nolan, do you know what I mean? Like, hey, and he wants it so bad, which I love. Nolan's strong. I mean, he is strong. I think he plays bigger, than his side with how strong he is and how physical he is. I think one thing with him is he scored so much in high school and he can score and shoot. But I think the one thing with him that people don't realize is I think he has a chance to be an excellent defender. I think he can defend multiple positions, smaller guys, bigger guys. He's got the toughness to compete on that end. He rebounds the ball. I think he even learned at Texas Tech. He's like, man, I learned in high school he had to, shoot the ball all the time. And not that he can't do that, but I think he even said he learned that, boy, I know one way that I really learned I could maybe have an impact at this level is being great on that end. And so I'm kind of excited for him there too, that I think he can have an interesting impact, on our team that way, but really competitive, tough. I think he's just excited about being a Gopher. So it's been great to have him.
Yeah, there was a Gopher roundtable the other day. I watched it yesterday, and he talked about how happy he was being back because he can go fishing and ice fishing. He's excited about ice fishing.
That's crazy. I don't buy that. Like, I mean, listen, I grew up here. I love fishing, a lot of things, but the ice fishing thing I never got. I always thought that's just an excuse for guys to go and, hang out.
Probably is.
Yeah, probably is.
Probably
but
is.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah. It's good to have him back. And then, I mean, you got a kid from North Carolina, a couple from Michigan, Texas Tech, who's been pretty good. And how about let's throw in Villanova, Malachi Palmer. So you've hit some blue bloods there to go get your roster.
Malachi too, interesting guy. He was a highly recruited kid. Interesting connection there. He was at Maryland.
Yeah,
he was there at the game. And it was a freshman and didn't play on that team. I mean, versus how good that team was, right? Did they win? Were they second in the Big Ten that year? Is that what they finished regular season? But they were right there.
Yeah.
But boy, they were loaded. So he remembers watching us in that game and preparing. And then obviously he went with Coach Willard to Villanova and he was playing some and they wanted him, but just again, wasn't the role he was feeling. And so excited to have him. He's a guy, he's 6'6", strong. I mean, Malachi is strong, probably 220, 225. Looks like he could play linebacker, really shoots the ball well. He's a really good 3-point shooter. His numbers, even last year at Villanova will show that. And I think he can really defend. So he's kind of that sort of 3-and-D guy. And I don't want to pigeonhole him that way, but I mean, those are things I think that are really translatable right away to our level. And I love those guys who especially defensively can guard different kinds of players, right? And you can put him in different kinds of lineups against different people and he can defend that way. So I'm excited about him. And it's just another guy, I think that, again, young player. All these guys have played for, in good programs that are used to winning with other talent around him. And hopefully that's going to translate.
We mentioned the programs they came from, all obviously Power 5. Is there a strategy that, it hasn't always been that way? You went and got Bobby Durkin from Davidson and some others. So was it more just this is how it unfolded, or did you make a conscious effort? We're going to go get Power 5 kids.
I mean, yes and yes. I mean, I don't know. It was a conscious effort to say we was get the best players, right?
Yeah.
So again, I don't never want to pigeonhole ourselves and say, well, this is our bucket, so we turn down an opportunity someplace else. I think most of it was just kind of how it's worked out. But I will say this: I think throughout the years, that's definitely a market we pay a lot of attention to, if that makes sense, and I just look at the data of guys I think who have, really worked out and who have done well. And it's still talent, it's people, talent acquisition, and it's very easy as a young player to get lost in the shuffle sometimes at this level, or maybe you're just not in the role that you want. And sometimes, even at the lower level, just because a guy scored, 14 points a game does not mean that that's translatable to our level.
Yeah.
What would this kid do if he was in that situation?
Yeah.
Do you know what
Sure,
I mean?
yeah.
And have the opportunity. So, and then I do think it does matter, the kind of program or the daily experience that these guys had. But having said that, some of the coaches there's incredible coaches. The D2, we had
Right.
Colorado State, we had a lot of success with D2 players, that did really, really well, great Division II players, great coaches. So no matter what level they are, I do think guys that have come from winning programs, I think that can matter too. It's not the end all be all. Sometimes
Right.
somebody just needs a chance. But at least I know when they come here, they at least have an understanding of what this looks like day to day. Because it is a hard transition from a freshman coming in here to this level. It's different. Those guys have all been through it.
I know it's way too early to talk about rotations and starters and all that, but as a staff,
But we're going to do it.
Well, I'm going to ask a general question about it. Yes. As a staff, are you guys like starting to visualize like, man, we could think about this lineup we might be able to run out there? Think about, you mentioned, we got a couple guys that can defend maybe differently than we've had, and maybe that offers some new things that you can bring up. But is that vision starting yet, or is it just kind of a summertime, let's just get better today? And
I think it's both. I think that even when you're putting together your team in the spring or whatever, you are looking, it's all hypothetical, but you're looking at it like, okay, here's what not just the depth, but here's what a rotation could look like, man. If we did this and we had to, sub this guy out of the game, who would we put in? Would that fit together? Now, when you're doing that in the summer, my experience has been, it never goes that way. There's always going to end up being a little bit different than you think. That's part of the fun of it. So you do think about that, but we're still I think more than that, it's like, all right, here's some of the guys that we, think maybe need to play, and then we have to figure out how to make it work.
right.
That kind of a thing. So no, it's still too early that way. Obviously, especially early on, the returners have a leg up just because they know what's going on. But as time goes by too, some other guys, have an opportunity to kind of get their footing a little bit more and create a niche.
Yeah. So you got 3 freshmen as well. Let's hit on those guys. Nolan Anderson. I think you told me told the group at Excelsior that he's even maybe growing since you first started recruiting him. He's getting tall and he can shoot, and that's a pretty good combo. So tell us about Nolan Anderson.
Really excited about him. I think he's going to be a terrific player, and obviously got great size. And I don't know this, but like 15 months ago, he's got to be 2 inches taller.
That right?
He just looks longer, taller, probably all 6'7", shoots the ball at a high level. But the thing about Nolan that you learn right away, and I thought we knew this in the recruiting process, but he's got tremendous IQ and feel. So he's got a great feel. The game already for a young player is slower than it is for most. Knows how to cut, knows how to play, understands angles. And he's a competitor. He goes to the offensive glass. He's got a chip on his shoulder. And you can just tell he believes he belongs. And so, again, more and more things will come on his plate. Freshmen always need to get stronger. They've got to go through the whole thing every other freshman does. But I'm excited about not just his future. I'm excited about his present too. And Cedric Tomes, another kid that it's been fun to watch him come in here. He's got a lot of energy. He's got high major speed and quickness. And what I loved about him too is he played multiple sports, right? So here's a young man. He was a starting quarterback on his football team. And, this year he broke his finger, right? And he had to miss a bunch of football games. And you're thinking, all right, he's not going to come back and play football. He's got to get ready for his basketball season. And he rushed back just so he could get out there and play, at the end and in the playoffs. And most guys would have said, why would I do that? I could get hurt again.
Sure.
But that's just not his DNA.
Right.
He just loves to play. He loves to compete.
I can see
that about
some
him.
coaches who might have signed him would say, what are you doing? Don't risk more injury. But I get the sense you were like, I like I like that he wanted to do that.
He wants to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
He wants to compete. He wants
Play
to
with
be
his
out there for his
teammates.
team.
Yeah.
He like, no, I'm coming back. I want to try to, let's see if we can go beat this group. And, I might get the crap kicked out of me, at quarterback or whatever. But I just think that DNA is something you don't want to take from somebody,
Right.
And so then I say that, and then, this will be the first time in his career that he's just going to focus on basketball. But again, he's got a lot of confidence. He's got a lot of swagger about him. And he's going to be a really good player, you know? And so, those guys have been really, really good so far. And then, Shadrack's another, talk about Malik, but, Shadrack's a 6'11".
He's a grown man already.
Athletic, big, normal. I mean, he's
Yeah.
big, you know, and can really run and move and jump. And he's got, fans will learn more about, kind of his personal story too. It's really, really, really crazy, And he was a kid, when he got over to the States, played a little bit of basketball, but not a ton, Then they didn't allow him to play his junior year, in California in high school. That's hard. You get over here, so you have to sit the whole
Right.
year, doing that. And then gets out in the summer, a little bit playing. That's where we saw him. And the more we learned about his story and stuff, we're like, boy, this is the kind of young man we think can do really well here. And he obviously played AU, played his high school year this year, but he's played 1 year of high school basketball.
Yeah.
Man, what a great young man. I mean, he works his tail off, wants to be coached, plays really, really hard. And again, he just has to keep getting better, and he's got a really, really bright future. And I'm willing to bet that from where he is today, when we get him, even hopefully by the time we start in October, he's going to make a ton of strides.
Yeah, a lot of teams have gone with some international flavor, and you have it with the two bigs, especially from Germany and then Congo, that the upside for those two guys, right, is pretty big.
Absolutely.
No pun intended there.
No,
Yeah,
It is. And I think, I think development's a big deal for us. I enjoy that. And you have to have patience too, knowing especially like our big guys, there's a lot going on for these guys, a lot that they have to do. And there's a lot of responsibility on them. But, Coach Cooley sort of does such a great job too with those guys. They just continue to get better and better.
Let me talk about haircuts. It's time for a haircut. If it is, well, let me suggest the great folks at Great Clips. They make it so easy and convenient from online check-in. You get to the Great Clips app, you click a couple of things, and then you are in line. And they have clip notes. Clip notes, you say, what are clip notes? Well, in a day and age when we have to remember everything, so many things, birthdays, anniversaries, passwords, dinner reservations, whatever it is, you don't have to remember much about your own hair at Great Clips, because when you get in, you get it done. Your stylist keeps notes, and clip notes are there for the next time you go. Maybe it's a different person to cut your hair. They've got the notes as well. The clip notes tell them exactly what you want, no matter the salon, no matter the stylist. Clip notes from Great Clips. Get in, get out, look great with Great Clips.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner.
We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and our diverse family of independently owned companies, visit TrueNorthEquityPartners.com.
We have a few remaining moments with Nico Medved. It's episode 227, the Go Gopher podcast. So we've talked about the newcomers, the core four. Let's talk about those guys coming back, and how much has it. You mentioned a little bit that having some guys that know the system and not just one guy. A year ago at this time, you and the coaching staff and Jalen were probably teaching everybody, but now you've got pretty good basis here. How important have those four guys been so far?
Awesome. And, our fans know it. I mean, they're just unbelievable human beings too, and it just reaffirms again why it's so important to have high character guys going through what we did last year. Could have fallen off the cliff easily, and it didn't, just because of those guys. And they've been awesome, not only that, but they had a great spring too. They'd worked their butt off. And I mean, look at those guys. I look at a guy like Grayson, and I just think that, he played well for us last year. He got so much better, and boy, he worked hard. His spring and his summer, I mean, he's put in a lot of time, and I think I know it's gonna pay off for him, and he's so coachable. He's willing to make some changes, but even now, just seeing him in the summer, just how much more comfortable he is and confident in what we're doing. And so, he's really had a great off season, and he's just such a great young man.
You could see last year just the growth when you get playing time, maybe even time that he wasn't, I don't know what his expectations were, but I'm guessing that he ended up with a bigger role than anyone thought. But he kind of hit the moment, right? I mean, Oregon game, I think about what he did there and some other opportunities he had. He hit the moment.
And he had to, he was our only big, and he had to play. And I remember, he tweaks his shoulder at Michigan. We're in the game, and he kind of comes off a little bit, and he kind of oh my God.
Yeah.
And he went back and he played through a lot. And I'm excited for him. I think he's really took advantage of the opportunity that he had. He's the ultimate team guy. I mean, hey, Grayson, we need to go and run across 35W in traffic to win the game. And he's like, all right, line me up, and I joke with that, but he's just, let's go. He just got great spirit and energy about him. And I'm really proud of him because he's worked really hard this off season. And I think that's going to pay off for him.
So you've got a Grayson Grove, a Nolan Groves. You've got a Nolan Anderson.
Kai Shinholster, which we'll talk
another
about, Kai and Evans. Yeah, they're both Kai.
Right.
I got a real problem.
That's if our old buddy Trevor Winters' son had come here, you'd have had a Winters and a Winters Grady as well, and a Nolan all mixed into one guy. It would have been chaos.
It's chaos. Those are the things too that the summer's for. Early on the first day, I'm like, all right, Kai, get out here. And I got two guys
running out.
I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do? And they're both Nolan.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just Nolan. So I've laughed and I approach him. So I think we're getting there. So Nolan Groves, I'm just going to call him Groves. He's cool. Just your Groves. Right? Groves, and then Nolan's Nolan.
Nolan Anderson
Nolan.
Gotcha.
And then Kai and Evans is still Kai. And then it's crazy. Kai Shinos is the greatest dude ever, but he wanted to be called. He named himself Canine earlier.
I remember
in the year.
that. Remember we said it was okay after he had the donkey.
And I'm like, no, you're not, dude. You can't. You're not Canine. You have not earned the right to have that kind of nickname yet, or whatever. But then he had that done. So I'll call him Canine. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll do that if that's what he really. You got
to have a distinction, or everyone's going to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm looking through that and saying, man, that's you got a few puzzles to solve just in identifying how to
ball
identify
screen defense
people.
and just how to call them by their right name.
By their
right
name.
Yeah.
We mentioned you mentioned Grove in the breakdown. Durkin, Asama, and Jalen. Take us through his little how they.
Yeah,
look
I mean, those guys. Some of the speak for themselves too. But Bobby, just watching where he was at the beginning of the year and how he played. I just. Yeah, a lot of great games, but that UCLA game, at home was just, something special. And another one too. Guys, how hard he works. He works his butt off and really improving to his body, his conditioning, his skill set all the way around. And he's got such great feel and instincts, that way. And so excited for him to be here another year, obviously we all know he's an exceptional shooter, but I just think his confidence level, is at another spot. And Isaac Asama, hopefully the same way. He just unbelievable human, but he's really, really works his butt off. And there was a lot on his plate last year, that way. I think that's great for him. You become a better player. You become a tougher player.
Played so many minutes,
and always answered, the bell for us that way. But again, just watching Isaac, how hard he worked in the off season too, and that's really gonna translate, And I think he's gonna be more consistent, all the way around. I think a lot of it for players like him is just you kind of think you can do it, but then getting the belief that I can really
prove it
do
to yourself.
This, you know what I mean, at this level. And sometimes it's hard for players to say that because they got to come up with the tough exterior. But I think that's all of them. It's we all still. There's still worry and doubt in all of us at times, but for those guys to kind of have the success and of Isaac too, just staying and believing in what we were doing and buying in is going to be great. And like I said, I think he's going to have to do a lot for our team this year. He's going to have to score. He's going to have to create. He's going to have to defend. He's going to have to rebound, and I think he can do all those things. And I think guys sometimes take their biggest jump from their sophomore to their junior year, and I really hope and I believe that'll be the case for Isaac. And then, Jalen Croc's he's the old guy, right?
Yeah.
That's been around, and great to see him come back. Great to see him being healthy finally
feeling
out
good,
there.
sounds
Yeah,
like,
and I think that's awesome for him. And obviously, I think he was really starting to play at a high level before that all happened. Just came off that Michigan State game. And I think for him, what's going to be great is we can kind of use his versatility more up and down the lineup. He had a lot of success playing that P spot for us. We probably didn't get him enough minutes at the forward spot, so to speak, because we couldn't. And so I think him being able to do both of those things for us is going to be great. I think he'd be elite defensively. He's really worked hard too, just becoming more consistent, confident, and again, really understanding like he can be a guy at this level. And he's just, he's a great leader that way. So again, it's great to have those guys that have been through it before. And, I have belief in them, but I think they also have belief in what we're doing.
And when he was playing before he got injured, they were all playing a lot of minutes because of injury. So I think in one sense they got better because of all the minutes. But you think now that knock on wood, everyone stays healthy, instead of 38 or 39 minutes for Isaac Osman, maybe it's 33 and it's maybe a more efficient 33 minutes.
You hope so. I think, even guys who play a lot of minutes, being able to get those strategic breaks, a half before me, I think those things add up. And so sometimes the difference between, 38 minutes and even 34 minutes is pretty significant, in the way you're able to sub.
Right.
So,
yeah. And you'll have options, again. The other interesting thing in this day and age of transfer portal and reconstructing rosters and in 5 transfers this year, 3 freshmen, but with the new 5-for-5 rule, you can have, if you wanted it, you could have, and they wanted it, you could have this entire team back in a day and age. And you won't be the only team now in this situation, but what's your opinion of the 5-on-5 rule or the 5-for-5 rule, 5 years to play 5 years? And it impacts the current team and other teams. But in this day and age where roster turnover is a lot, there's a world that you could live in that you won't have any roster turnover next year.
Yeah, I think, is it perfect? No. I've been part of some of the NABC board stuff, but it's way better than what we were doing. And it's not just the 5-for-5. I think the age limit is maybe even the biggest part that I'm a fan of. At some point, and I understand why people want to stay in the system as long as possible, to do that and manipulate it in a way so they can just keep playing, and we all know why. And there has to be time and space for the next generation to come up and get their opportunity. That's just the way it has to be. And so I'm a fan of it that way. I think it does create clarity. It's not perfect, but it's better than what we were doing. It's just this year is going to be disruptive.
Right.
This particular year, right? It just is what it is. You're all these guys can return. So can most of the guys all over college basketball. So we're not alone in that. Will they all return? I don't know. Who knows how it's all going to play out in the spring, but it is going to be harder in a lot of ways for this particular high school class. There probably won't be as many opportunities as there was. And you do have to think about it a little bit. And we love to recruit high school guys and develop, but what does this class look like? Because we still have a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah.
And I do think after this year, though, there will be some more clarity, right? Everyone will at least know that, hey, these guys are going to be out of eligibility after this year, right? That will open up roster spots. And again, I think that we'll figure it out as time goes by. But this is a tricky year. And you're right. You're putting a lot of thought as a coach of how we want to approach high school recruiting in this class right now.
Yeah, the class of 27 is going to be tricky. There's probably some strategic thinking that coaches all over the country and coaching staffs are having to go
Absolutely.
through.
And maybe it's just not recruiting as many. That, and so again, it's be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I do think as time goes by, it's a better rule than what we were doing.
I think I just read that football, they had some changes with how they're going to do practices in the off season. Spring football will shift a little, and practices can get spread out further. You mentioned your NABC. Are you on the board or whatever?
Yeah, there's all sorts of different levels, but represented the Big Ten and some of that stuff. And listen. what you learn about this stuff too is so many of these decisions, they're made without input of, so I think this 5 for 5 thing is, enough to know this decision had already been made.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew
it usually takes
probably
3 or 4 years to get
but I
something
knew,
switched.
3 months ago, as long as, President Baker wanted it and these other people, that the people who actually stamp it, they were proponents of it, and it was going to happen. And our input on that one, there was a little bit, I think they wanted to do something like this. So I think there was some input, but they, pretty much decided that's what we want to do. But I'm glad that the age limit thing is in there.
Is in there. Are there, as a member of that NABC and just kind of having your pulse on stuff, are there other issues in basketball that you're trying to help tackle here?
I mean, the ones that I think all of us as coaches realize that, it's the transfer and eligibility rules that we really need parameters around a little bit. I mean, now that there is money, and I'm all for the players' money, but like, how would the NBA look is if every single player on every roster was a free agent every year?
After every season.
You couldn't operate. Yeah. It's not possible to operate like that for anybody, even players long term. It just, so I do think, we've got to figure that out. I'm a proponent of one-time transfer, no matter what. Second time, I think you need to be able to sit a year unless, your coach is let go, your coach leaves. I'm a proponent of that. I think that would fix a lot of it. And in a lot of cases, it would actually give players more stability too, along with everybody. I think that would help. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that right now. So I think those are the big things. I think then there's just stuff with, summer access of giving us more hours with the guys, even than we have right now. You saw this deal where you can take a foreign trip every year, so to speak. There's now some talk about allowing us to play, maybe be able to play some exhibition games in the summer, as long as it stayed within our 8 weeks. I don't think it would be bad. For example, we go all summer, and that last week of July, what if we went and, scrimmage somebody, you get a look kind of at what you're doing. And I think for me, I love those kind of things, but I also realize that, I don't think it's necessarily healthy for anyone to play games in August that your fans are like, oh my God, they lost to this person. That's what people don't realize. The NBA Summer League is great, but they don't really care about the results.
Yeah.
The head coaches don't even coach. They're trying to play their young guys. They get a lot out of it, but it's viewed so differently.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be if they could do something like that where, hey, we get to play all these guys. We get to kind of do it in a thing where we get some outside competition where it isn't just like, oh my God, can you believe they lost to this team in a scrimmage? Like it's August, guys. It's July. Come on, man. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I think so. Those are the kind of things that, we're talking about. And this thing keeps evolving.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. It's an exciting time, ever-changing landscape. And we thank you here on this holiday week for spending some time with us and letting Gopher fans find out a little bit how summer's going and enjoy the weekend and celebrate 250 years of the
Isn't that
great
crazy?
USA.
Yeah. Have a great 4th of July. I know we will. Get a day where you just kind of hang out and a couple days to do that. Yeah. So it'll be fun.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. He is Nico Medved, episode 227.
This is Jim Suhan for TSR Injury Law, 612 TSR Time. TSR Injury Law started off as a small business. They are now a large, very successful business because they help people, because they win cases. If you are injured, call 612 TSR Time. They will help you out or point you in the right direction. They will not charge you unless they win your case, and they win a lot of cases. We don't want you to need their help. They don't want you to need their help. But if you do need their help, call 612 TSR Time.
Episode 227 rolls on. We want to welcome a brand new sponsor. We're really thrilled to have PNC Bank. They've been a Gopher supporter with us already, and now to come on board with the Go Gopher podcast. We appreciate that. As a bank, PNC prides itself on being boring. Yes, that's right. But the truth is they couldn't be more excited to serve the dynamic Twin Cities community. For more than 160 years, they've quietly toiled away to deliver brilliant results for their equally brilliant clients. They've dedicated PNC teams throughout the local area, all ready to do the boring work
to help you unlock your own brilliance. PNC Bank is brilliantly boring. They have been since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC. And we welcome to the podcast Kelly McQueen, the regional president of PNC Bank. Thanks for coming on board. And here we are, the Go Gopher podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, take us through. You guys have been partners with the Gophers. I know a strong partnership with volleyball and connecting with student athletes and all of that. Why have you guys at PNC decided that this is a team you want to join and partner with? And how has it been up to this point with the other things you've dived into here with the Gophs?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I think maybe to tell the partnership with the Gopher story, I think it's important to know kind of the four primary ways that PNC invests in the community. So we look to invest in early childhood education. We invest in women and girls and future women leaders. We invest in economic development and opportunity. And then the arts is a vehicle for economic development. And the reason I mention the four of those is they tie really nicely into the ways in which we partner not only with Gopher Athletics, but the University of Minnesota broadly.
Yeah.
So we started our relationship with Gopher Athletics. And really the idea there is you have such a diverse community, right? Here we are in the Twin Cities, lots of opportunity to see sports, but so great to see these incredible amateur athletes competing at a really high level. And it gives us a chance to not only show our support for the athletes, but provides that brand awareness, right? We were new in the market in 2017, trying to really kind of make a name for ourselves in a pretty crowded financial services market, but also gives us really unique entertainment opportunities as we're building relationships with clients. In this market, while you have a lot of University of Minnesota alum, you also have just a lot of Big Ten alum, right? So we get a chance to say, hey, do you want to come and see your fill-in-the-blank alma mater play the University of Minnesota? And so we get a lot of yeses and get a lot of people that are really excited about the chance to see the Gophers in action or maybe their own alma mater
There
in
wouldn't
action.
be any Purdue grads in
well,
attendance,
there might be
there?
a Boilermaker here or there.
Yeah. You mentioned PNC Bank entered the market, not that long ago. Tell us a little background on PNC Bank.
Yeah, thanks. So we are roughly the sixth largest bank in the country. So national bank, full suite of services, both consumer and commercial. We talk a little bit about being brilliantly boring, right? What does that mean? Kind of a crazy tagline. But what the idea there is that we think about boring being synonymous with trustworthy, right? Boring being synonymous with safe. So allow us as your bank to do the things to keep your money safe, to move it around, to pay your bills, to help it grow so that you can go and be your most brilliant self, personally and professionally. So you can buy a business, you can make an acquisition, you can retire, you can take that dream vacation. And it's all because you've partnered with the bank that is a little bit boring, but is doing that boring work on your behalf. So
PJ Fleck talks about the boring stuff wins games, right?
100%, absolutely, and that's what we're here for. So again, been in the market for almost 10 years, and still just finding our way, and really feel like this is a great place to live, work, and play.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be able to talk about PNC Bank as we move along in the podcast over the hopefully many years down the road. But one thing we specifically want to talk about is coming up later in the summer in August. You guys are a big part of Hockey Day Minnesota, which will come in the winter, but there's a big event in August that kind of previews it. Can you tell us a little about, one, your involvement in it, and two, what we're talking about
Yeah,
here?
So this was actually a brainchild of a member of our team, a big hockey fan herself, as I think we all are living in the state of hockey. And this was just a great way, again, to not only expand our brand beyond the Twin Cities, because there are so many great businesses, consumers, individuals, opportunities, so much exciting things that are happening in greater Minnesota. So how do we really bring the excitement of what's happening here at the University of Minnesota, partner with us continuing to try to build our brand and really showcase, hockey in this great state? So we are sponsoring the PNC Hockey Day Minnesota Classic. It'll take place at the Classic at Madden's on Wednesday, August 12th. And if individuals or companies are interested in participating, they can visit hockeydayminnesota.com and sign up to to join us.
Yeah, and that's Hockey Day with an MN, so hockeydaymn.com to get all of the details. August the 12th, there'll be some Gopher men's and women's hockey players up there to help make it a special day for anyone who is part of it, right?
Yeah, it should be great. I'm a golfer myself, and the Classic's a beautiful place. So
yeah,
it
what a course.
It should be a great day.
Well, we look forward because you'll have monthly visits with us here, so we'll look forward to catching up with you again. But a great way to kind of introduce the partnership, and we're thrilled to have you along. Thank you.
No, thanks for having us. Looking forward to furthering the conversation.
Indeed. PNC Bank, they're a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher podcast. Our thanks to Kelly McQueen, the regional president of PNC Bank.
Mike Grimm's Go Gopher podcast was sponsored by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions, by Cub, by PNC Bank, by OnX Maps, and by Great Clips. Remember, it's always free to listen to Mike Grimm's Go Gopher podcast. You can follow or subscribe the podcast. Mike will be back next week. Thanks for listening.